The former coach of the Indianapolis Colts, now a member of Football Night in America, Tony Dungy, joining us on the show. How you feeling today?
Well, Dan, I think it is a good day in the long run. It's probably a bad day for Indianapolis, in the short run. You hate to see it happen, but it is football. And I was kind of hoping against hope that it wouldn't happen, that Peyton would finish his career there. But, as talking to Jim Irsay and Peyton this week, I think it was definitely heading to this. Peyton wants to play. He wants to keep going. Jim Irsay wants to rebuild the team. And, I guess I never would have pictured Joe Montana playing another uniform, Emmitt Smith, people like that. But it does happen. Warren Moon came to us when I was at Minnesota, from Houston. And again, just never would expect it. But that's the life of salary cap football. That's the reality of it.
Let's say the Colts didn't have the number 1 overall pick. What do you think would be the scenario now with Peyton Manning in Indianapolis?
Oh, I think Peyton would definitely be there and be back if they didn't have the number 1 pick. I think that was the complicating issue in all this, and what do you do and how do you make it work? And Jim Irsay is looking at the good of the franchise, and from what everyone's saying about Andrew Luck, you can't afford not to pass that up. I know he and Peyton had several conversations about, Peyton's experience as the number 1 pick and playing and how it helped his career. Eli, not playing that first year behind Kurt Warner and maybe how that may have retarded his progress. So I think they both had some discussions about that, what it was going to be like for Andrew Luck in the long run, what it was going to be like this year with other salary cap cuts coming. So I think it was a mutual decision and probably the best one for the franchise and for Peyton in the long run.
I think that there's going to be more bloodshed here. I get the feeling you got a lot of contracts that Jim Irsay is going to put out on the open market. Your thoughts on the number of big name, recognizable names with the Colts who won't be there next year?
No question about that. I've had conversations with Jim, and he knows it's coming. They've got to trim back in a lot of areas, and how to do it, he's not exactly sure. But I think that was one of the other things, too. If it was just Peyton and somehow we've got to squeeze that in and make it work and restructure one deal, maybe they could have gotten it done. But I think you're right. There's going to be a lot more.
Let's look at Peyton now, where he goes. I don't know if he can play or not. First of all, and I don't think anybody knows that, but let's say he can play. The team that makes the most sense for him, given what his priority list is, who?
He wants to go where it's comfortable, and I talked to him. It's not just winning the Super Bowl. I think he wants to really be out there and show that he can play at his level and do what he's always done. Now, there are some teams that are close. I don't know where San Francisco is, what they've decided with Alex Smith, but if they haven't made a decision to bring him back, you look at that defense, some of the young receiving talent that they have, I think he could make a huge difference there. I've always thought Miami was just a couple of pieces of the puzzle away. We watched them play and watched their defense and what they did, and Brandon Marshall and Reggie Bush and Fasano, they've got some pieces to the puzzle on offense. So those are two teams that come to the top of my head right away.
You know who is thrilled about this Peyton Manning news?
Probably the New Orleans Saints.
Yes. Nobody's mentioning the bounties now. They're probably going, whew, man. But the commissioner at the NFL owners meeting is going to probably dole out the punishment. Thoughts on what you think this will eventually be at the end of the month?
Well, I think it's bigger and more widespread than we think. And, I saw Eric Berry's comments, and that to me is the problem with this. Hey, I got hurt. I thought it was a legitimate block. But now, all of a sudden, I'm wondering, was there a bounty on me? Were they coming after me? And that's what everybody, player and fan, is going to think if this doesn't, get put to bed. So I think the commissioner has to come down strong. And you look at people like James Harrison, who said, okay, you've taken a tough stance on me, and I have not admitted to doing anything intentional. So now you've got some off the field, personnel. How are you going to come down on them? I think the commissioner is going to have to come strong on this.
Heard from somebody who is involved in this process yesterday who said that they may add another official on the field whose job is just to watch the quarterback from snap to the end of the play. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't like that. Obviously, the quarterback has the ball more than anybody else. But if I'm if I'm a nose tackle, let's say somebody watch me, watch my legs get cut and all the things that happen to me. Yeah, I'd like somebody to watch me every minute of the game too. So, although I think it's good and you want to protect the quarterback, there's 21 other people that need protection too.
But you have an official who's watching if there's offensive holding. I think there's too much to watch. Because it doesn't sound like you're able to do your job completely, and I think that's why they've talked about a referee whose job is just to watch what happens to the quarterback.
No, it is tough on the refs. The particular play that Peyton, against the Redskins that there's been all this talk about, I know Scott Green was looking to see where the ball went. Is it intentional grounding? He's got a lot of things to look at, other than the roughing the quarterback. And if he would have seen the whole thing, he would have called a penalty there. So it is a difficult situation they have. But then my question would be, well, how many other positions need that, and I just don't know that you can just single out the quarterback and say we've got to watch him.
Did you call Peyton, or did Peyton call you?
We actually, I called him, but we communicated a little bit. I talked to Jim Irsay quite a bit, and I can say that this was not a slam dunk easy thing. You said all along you felt it was going to end up this way, and you were right. But it was both sides really working this thing through together, and I think they did come to a mutual agreement. But, yeah, I called him on that one.
I just hope that Jim doesn't get the blame today, because I don't think it's fair to Irsay.
No, it's not, and he has done everything with one thing in mind, to make the franchise better. And these have been tough calls. I mean, to get rid of Jim Mora was a tough call and bring me in. To get rid of Jim Caldwell and Bill Polin was a tough call. To get rid of Edgerrin James, we had a long conversation the year before we won our Super Bowl. And Edgerrin, it was $5 or $6 million, and he's meant so much to the franchise, and he's gotten us here, and we know we're on the cusp of winning. But if we let him go, we can re-sign Reggie and Dwight and Dallas Clark, and we can draft a young back, and we'll be okay. And that took Jim Irsay a long time to come to that conclusion, and it was painful. He sent Edgerrin a Super Bowl ring. Those kind of decisions are tough, and believe me, Jim is not dissing Peyton Manning. He's not throwing him out. He wants Peyton to have success. He wants the franchise to move forward, and that's what the people of Indianapolis have to realize. There's a lot of things that are coming. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is not just, hey, we'll get rid of Peyton Manning and move ahead and everything's fine.
Reggie Wayne done in Indy?
If I were a betting man, I'd say yes. I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if Reggie ends up wherever Peyton ends up.
Yeah, that was my next question. Hey, good to visit. Good to visit with you, Tony. Thank you.
All righty.
That's Tony Dungy, Football Night in America.